everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio Not So Normal. It's open mic night tonight.
Woo! Yay!
Welcome, everybody. Hey, we got
Nigel.
comments coming in like crazy. Oh, you did it. Okay.
Yes, I did that.
Hi, Nigel.
Hey, Nigel.
Great.
And anybody who wants to come in
Yeah,
and
Nigel,
visit with us,
You got a story to share?
Just-
Pop in.
just
This
click
is
the link.
open mic night. Just come in down in the green screen. We'll bring you up. We're going to put a 10-minute time limit to tell a story or anything you want to talk to us about. So we already have one. Well, before we get on that, how is Denise feeling today?
Denise is feeling fine. I had my tests today, and I'm going to say radioactive eggs are not probably my favorite thing. I have to say that.
Microwaved at that.
And they were microwave eggs too.
Oh, you ought to glow in the dark tonight.
Yeah. I'm afraid for my first bowel movement in the dark to see if it's got a green glow.
It might light the bathroom up. If you've seen a glow come out of the bathroom, Ron, don't be shocked.
And then not to mention the 5 x-rays that I had along with that.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Hi, Susan.
Hey, Susan,
So-
Mike.
So needless to say, it was I had a very nice lady, and Ron proceeded to tell her that I did not like her microwave eggs. So yeah,
Or anybody's. So
yeah, I don't eat very many things microwaved anyway, period. I don't usually, everything I eat, I cook on the stove or in the oven. So
I'd
is
make it
what
for
it
the
is.
kids.
Right.
I had some eggs. I'd microwave it. I'll scramble them up, microwave it for about a minute. Then they add cheese to it. Microwave it some more, let it all melt in, and then put some hot sauce in it and give it a little 20 more seconds.
Yeah.
And just
And-
scramble it up.
Then if you wanted to really get them good, you get the neon glow in the dark food coloring
Oh,
and put a few drops in it when you're cooking it and it comes out, and make sure they're in a dark room because their scrambled eggs will glow.
oh,
So he proceeded to tell the lady that was doing my test how much my kids loved it, and I'm back there going, my very first business trip, Lindsay and her husband got on the phone and said, Mom, when are you coming back? We're tired of microwave eggs. Of course, they were already married. They were adults. They could have cooked their own, but they wanted me to come back from lovely Monroe, Louisiana, because they wanted me to cook.
Right.
Now,
right.
Lauren liked them the most.
But yeah, it was
She liked the hot sauce with it.
interesting.
That's what made
anyway.
it.
So that's one of the things. And Gary's in the chat, and he said, hello to everyone. So, but he's in the private chat, so nobody can see it. And I'm sorry, Gary.
Yeah.
So
Hi, everyone. He put it in a private chat, but that's all right.
Is it Gary?
yep. And yeah, I hope it is beautiful here. And
It's not too bad.
Facebook user, you
Facebook.
gotta
yeah,
go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission, and we'll see your name on there.
yes. And I love and miss you guys too. And thank you. We are so glad we look great, but I'd like to give you a name. So,
Right.
but yeah, last night, I was trying to tell Ron, we were talking about Paula and Gavin, and how I have nicknames for everybody. And so when I said Paula, he gave me a look because I have a cousin who's married to a Paula.
We know some Paulas, so I didn't know
So
which
it's not
one.
like, so I said food poisoning Paula.
Oh yeah,
And so he knows exactly what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
I
So-
felt. Oh man,
So I am so sorry, everybody. You all have nicknames, and they are very descriptive. And I'm not embarrassed to tell you what they are. So
Right.
they're nothing
we
bad.
had a rough trip.
But yeah.
But
So
we have a couple of people in the green room, so we're going to bring them up one at a time. They're going to have about 10 minutes to talk, ask us questions, or tell their story or whatever. on the open mic night. So, first one we're going to bring up is everybody's seen him in the chat room and knows him as Pastor Gary, but he's the paranormal pastor.
Hey, Gary.
Hello,
Hey, Gary.
everybody.
Hi, Gary.
And Gary, I'm going to tell you what your nickname is. It's just Pastor Gary. It's just, I've never really, I don't know that many Garys to have to nickname you.
Okay.
So it
That's
depends
what
on
I've
how
called
many
him
you know.
ever since I met him,
Yeah.
Pastor Gary.
Yep.
And Carl, yours is Carl.
Yeah.
We have no other Carls.
I call him my pastor.
So, anyway, as a paranormal pastor, whenever we get enough internet speed here that I can come on a program with Carl, I will be doing a program called The Paranormal Pastor. Now, this is going to cause some issues from both sides. I fully expect to get attacked from both sides because as a paranormal pastor, I'm going to introduce myself from the beginning of when my paranormal experiences basically started, which actually started from the supernatural side. And Carl's heard this story many times on driving down the road one day. And this is while I was still on a farm, driving down the road one day, going after parts for farm equipment. I get this voice speaks to me and says, "Pick up the hitchhikers." I'm looking around down the road. There's no hitchhikers. And I make the guy, I don't pick up hitchhikers. And just as soon as I said that, I get this again, pick up the hitchhikers. Well, I drive another 2 or 3 miles, top a hill, and down at the bottom of that hill is a man and a woman standing. Between them is a brown suitcase. Now, this happened over 30 years ago. Now I'm beginning to tell my age a little bit. But this happened over 30 years ago, about 2 years after I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior and had made a vow to the Lord I would do what I could do to become a pastor. Well, I'm hard-headed, as Carl well knows. And I kept saying, I don't pick up hitchhikers, and I go past them. Besides, they were wanting to go west, and I was going east. I went on east, picked up the parts I needed, coming back an hour to an hour and a half later, and coming in from the east, from the other side, here goes this voice again saying, "Pick up the hitchhikers." And I'm still stubborn. I said, I don't pick up hitchhikers. Pick up the hitchhikers. You know good and well an hour and a half has gone by. Those hitchhikers are not there anymore. Well, I round a curve, come down the hill, and right where they were standing an hour and a half before are those 2 hitchhikers. I drive past them. To this day, if they were standing there, I would recognize them. They had that brown suitcase. He was dressed in denim jeans and shirt. She had a brown kind of a checkerboard skirt and a brown blouse. And if I saw them, I'd recognize them. That's been over 30 years ago. 2 years after that, I had started working in Kansas City, coming up by 35, getting ready to turn east on 36 to head towards my home in Hamilton, Missouri. Before I come off 35, here's this voice again. And I'll tell you, I do believe the voice was coming direct from God. hears his voice, pick up the hitchhikers. I don't see any hitchhiker. Pick up the hitchhiker. I come up to 36 Highway and turn east. There's now a McDonald's there. This was even before McDonald's. And I get to the ridge just to the east of where I come on, and there stands a young man. And well, guess what? I still had those two in my mind. I pulled over and picked him up. And before we got to Hamilton, I had his story. He had run away from home as a 16-year-old. He'd gone to Texas, and down there he had got saved, and he was trying to get back home, which was in Brookfield, but he had grandparents in Chillicothe. Of course, I live in Hamilton, but I took that young boy on to Chillicothe, took him to his grandparents' house, and he had recommitted his life to the Lord. When I left him, he was in tears and I was in tears. Now, that's how my paranormal experiences started. I told you that my experiences started much different than most everybody else that's involved in the paranormal field. Then I guess I'll step on up right now to my beginning in paranormal investigation. I was working at the courthouse in Kingston, Missouri, and I had about 5 or 6 jobs. When you work for a county, you have lots of jobs. But they came to me one day, they hollered at me, the commissioners hollered at me, and they said, we had a group that want to come in and do a paranormal investigation. And we told them that we couldn't let them come in unless somebody that worked for the county was there with them. And they wanted to know if I would be there, could be there for them. And I said, yeah, that might be interesting. And I know somebody else that might be interested also, who happened to be, guess who? Carl. And so Dusk to Dawn was the group that was coming to do the investigation. We did that investigation, and lots of things were happening there in the courthouse. And they had Sebastian with them who could see all of these, and he was dealing with what he believed to be a demonic spirit that night. In fact, we had one time when Sebastian asked me to go stand by one of the young ladies there because this evil spirit was getting ready to attack. And so I stood there. I'm seeing nothing, but he's explaining what's all going on. And during that night, Carl even seen something like doorknobs turning and had different things. We had things experiencing. But one thing the Dusk to Dawn crew said, you guys are different. And we said, what do you mean different? Said, well, most people on their first experience get very afraid, and you guys seem to be enjoying this.
Yeah.
And they come back back one more time. And at the end of the second investigation is when they, McVeigh said to us, you guys need to start your own team because you guys can do this. And so here we are, I guess. That's the beginning of my paranormal experience. Now, coming back to the other spiritual side, the supernatural side, is an experience I had. I was also a camp superintendent at one time, a Christian camp superintendent. A group was there one night, and I had gone up to the meeting And when the invitation was given to come forward and accept Christ as Lord and Savior, several young people, and this was for teenagers, several young people went forward. Amongst those young people was a small 14-year-old girl from Peru. And when she got forward, all of a sudden, there was a screeching that started taking place in that building. And we had a big attic fan in that building, and I thought a belt had come loose or something. It was a screeching like I'd never heard before. But every time the speaker that night that gave the invitation would move towards that girl was laying forward, and her back would bow backwards about to the waist. And when he'd get so close, she would strike out just like she was a snake. This girl was possessed by demonic spirits. Well, they could not deal with her there. And when she went through that striking, she began to thrash around to where they were scared that she was going to injure herself. They took her off to a room in the dormitories, and two ladies, two young men, and a third man, plus the speaker, went up and began casting out, asking the Lord to cast spirits out of this girl. They cast out a laugher, they cast out a mocker, they cast out a imitator, and they cast out a crier. And after those were cast out, all of a sudden, out of this 14-year-old girl came this voice, and I'll do the best I can to imitate this voice. Out of that girl comes this voice that said, "I don't know what you think you're doing, but you can't get rid of me." And about that time, the girl threw her arm, and there went one lady. These two ladies were hanging onto her arms to keep her from hurting herself. One lady was cast off, and the other lady was cast off. They were also holding her legs down. One of the men were cast off, another one was cast off, and still yet she was thrashing around. And I forgot to mention, there was a 240-pound man laying across her abdominal area, and she picked him up and threw him into a wall, which was a drywall type facing, and left his imprint in that wall. Because this group was dealing with 100 or over 100 young people there that night, they knew that this spirit was not one that could be cast out immediately. That spirit, just as the Bible said, would take fasting and prayer to get that one out. And they called for her parents to come and get her, and they came and got her. I don't know how I'm doing on time, but that's kind of gives you a beginning of my experiences.
Well, thank you, Gary, so much for that story. You had quite a few of our people enthralled and ready and listening intently. So I appreciate your story, and I can't wait to hear when your show starts, because from the spiritual side, the side of God, it would be nice to hear more of the paranormal from related to the Bible.
Right.
Well, that's what I say. There's going to be people come at me from one side, and people come at me from the other side, and I will try to prepare myself as best I can with scripture that will back up a lot of what I will be saying.
Right.
You know, we might just want to get you a pickleball.
Yeah.
There you
paddle
go.
to help.
Yeah. And I do want to mention my voice is jerky, and at times it will be even more jerky, but that's because of a chemical burn I took.
Well,
About
that
7
and people
years
got to
ago.
realize, me and Gary's, we created CC Paranormal Team, and as far as I know right now, Pastor Gary is one of the oldest paranormal people out there right now that's active.
I'm only a young 78.
I know.
I met this lady. I'm going to tell you this at McIntyre Villa. She is a groupie following around Supernatural Inc. She had to be 80 something. You remember her?
Yeah.
She investigates wherever they're at.
Yeah.
She goes. So
Right.
I just thought she was hilarious.
Yeah, she was funny.
Right.
She also showed up at this event where Katie was speaking in Independence, Missouri. That's where I met her. I just thought she was the cutest thing, and she had all kinds of stories. So if I ever see her again, I'm going to ask her to come on because I'd like to hear her stories.
Right.
So, well, Gary, thank
That
you
could
so
be it.
much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Okay.
Gary.
We'll talk to you later, Pastor Gary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So our next guest is Jeremy. So it would be great to hear.
Jeremy.
Hi, how are you
Hey,
doing?
Jeremy.
Doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Fine. You
Good.
look great.
Hey, you look good.
Thank you.
Hey, you're looking great. You got a different colored patch on.
That is because if I can even find it, that's because I get tired of wearing those eye patches with the strap going around the
Yeah.
Yeah.
it gets irritating. So
Yeah.
so now I just get these things. They got adhesive. It's like a big giant band-aid.
Yeah,
Yeah, the pad
'Cause I
goes over
know-
the eye.
I understand because when I wear a headband, to hold my hair back,
Mhm.
it starts to hurt in here, and it gives you a headache.
It does.
So, but you're looking great. So everything's going good. Your recovery's going well.
So far, last week I had surgery on my eye, and basically what they did is they took my eye that was like this and made it like that.
Oh,
So now everything is straight, but nothing's been brought back together quite yet. It's still a double vision, but not quite as bad as it was.
okay. So you're not cockeyed anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I can still be, but
Well, you've had such
Man.
a long road to recovery, and I'm so glad you have a great sense of humor throughout all of it.
Yes.
well, a lot of people have asked me about that because I know that there are a lot of people that are so, everything is so bad for them and they're all woe is me and everything like that. And I take a look at attitudes like that and in my condition, the only thing I can think is what good would that kind of an attitude do for me?
Right.
I can be one of those kind, and for some of these people, they have no other option. They have no other choice.
Mhm.
But for me, it's all stubborn. I'm very stubborn, very bullheaded, and I want to get shit done.
Well, good. I'm glad. We always need somebody that's going to get shit done because there's always people that don't get shit done and they blame everybody else.
Right.
Believe me, I know. I've worked with a lot of those people.
Sometimes I'm one of those people that I work so much that I get shit done, but I don't get all the shit done.
Right.
So
Well, you're doing your job and theirs. That's the problem.
Yeah, that was actually one of the big reasons why I left the department that I was working at and went into the department that the last department that I was at when I got hurt.
Right.
Because now I am literally by myself. There's still 5 other people in my department with me, but they're all on their own forklifts.
Right.
So I'm spending a majority of the day by myself, just singing tunes in my head. And whenever an order comes up on my screen, I pick up the pallet and take it to them, and that's it, back and forth.
Well, so like I said, I'm just grateful that you're doing so well. And so I do have a couple questions for you. So you decided to join our open mic night tonight. What do you want to tell us, or what do you want to share with everybody?
Well, what I would like to share with everybody is going to be a little bit different because I have been talking a little bit about this over the last few weeks on my shows, but I'm kind of taking a step back away from the paranormal. Not completely, but just backing off.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
Yeah. And a lot of the reason being is because, especially with what's going on now, that this whole paradrama thing is, especially the one considering the TV shows that have been canceled and all of that.
Yeah.
Which is suspect, but still, you know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys. That's what Crystal always says.
Right.
Yeah. When you figure out how to herd them monkeys, let me know.
Yeah.
I need to know.
Yeah. But what I've been doing a lot lately is I've been focusing my attention on writing. Writing up stories and writing books, and I'm going back and forth between several different things. Is when you're working on one thing day after day after day, it gets old. Mm-hmm. So I'm currently working on 5 different books right now. I spend 1 week on a book. Good night, Jeff. I'll spend the next week on a different book, and then I'll move on to a short story, then come back to a different book, and I just keep bouncing back and forth. This week, right now, I'm actually working on a paranormal memoir called Paranormal Me.
Paranormal what?
I'm sorry, I'm not working on that one, but I am working on a paranormal book called Paranormal Me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like Despicable Me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So I will actually probably be working on that next week, but what I'm working on this week, I got ahead of myself, is I'm working on my accident. I'm writing a book about the accident and the stuff that I've been going through. And right now I am up to the month of April.
Okay.
And already about 200 pages into it.
Dang.
So what is your goal with the book about the accident?
Well, the main goal is not necessarily for this book, but for all of them, is I want to be a published author and I want to be able to make a living off of it.
Good luck.
And with this book, I want people to understand, you know what? This is what I had to go through when I got hurt. If you're going through the same thing, you are not alone. But here's what I did, and maybe some of what I did could help you out.
Well, the big thing is what I've noticed. Okay, so I did not really meet you until after the accident. We had been Facebook friends, and I'd known about you. Okay, didn't know you personally at all, but I've noticed how positive you were the entire time, when a lot of other people may have, I don't know for sure, but may have been, woe is me. And you weren't. You were still supporting all the people that were supporting you, and it made me very proud to be your friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did.
There's been a lot of stories that I have heard over the years where people have gotten seriously hurt, and it actually drove them into a depression so bad that they would commit suicide.
Right.
And I actually had a couple friends asking me about that as well, which, I get it, because what I had was, it should have been fatal, to be honest. But like I said, I'm stubborn. I tell people I'm too busy to die. I got too much stuff I got to get done.
Oh yeah. You have too many people who need you.
I would say 2 people need me right now. My
Right.
dad, my daughter.
Well, you know what? More than one
Whatever it
is too many. Well, or a lot. You know what I mean? Not like it's too many, but it's a lot of people need you. Yeah, because sometimes when you say too many, people take it as a negative. But I know that I can't die because my kids still need me. Yeah, my kids are adults, but I can't die.
But one thing about it, when Jeremy got hurt, he had a circle of friends that were right with him all the time.
Right.
I do know that
Mhm.
and stuff. And I mean, that's what a lot of people need.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends and everything. You know, when he got injured, we were on Things Network and everything doing shows. I didn't know exactly what happened in the accident. I didn't ask nobody or anything. You know, everything's running through my mind of what could have happened, what this and that. Was it at work? Did he get shot? Did he, like that? And then within the first week, one of them got a hold of me and told me what it
Yeah, nobody had really known what had happened until the next day when Tim Kohler came and saw me at the hospital.
Right.
The night that I did get hurt, after they called my dad to let him know, they asked me if there was anybody else that I needed to have called so that they would know. And the first thing that came to mind was Crystal, Tim's wife.
Right.
And the reason being is because somebody's going to have to step in and take over the network while I'm out. And Crystal stepped in, Adrian stepped in. Between those two, they kept everything running smoothly. And Tim came over and visited me at the hospital the next day. And I was able to somewhat explain to him what had happened, but he understood what I was saying. It was really hard to talk for those 3 days because my TMJ had been broke on one side. And I only discovered that the day after the day before the second surgery, when I tried to eat a cup of pudding and discovered that my mouth was not functioning correctly. Mm-hmm. And you know how good having pudding is and how yummy it is. And it was one of the worst things in the world, sticking that spoon in your mouth and discovering that you can't properly close your mouth to be able to do that.
It's amazing. I mean,
how many surgeries have you had so far?
I've had 7 so far.
Yep.
Yeah.
The eye surgery was the 7th. Next Monday will be number 8, and that's going to be another reconstruction surgery, and that's going to take this cheekbone and push it in. What they're going to do is they're actually going to cut it out and do some sort of contorting on it. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but they're going to contort the bone and put it back in to make it symmetrical with this side. And if all goes well, that's I'll be able to have my next surgery on the nose, and I'll have to have 2 on that one.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you just had surgery, what, a few days ago?
8 days ago.
Yeah.
And that was just for the eye. Compared to all the other ones that I had, what I had last week was very, very minor. I was able to hop back on Wednesday and Thursday, do my shows.
Mm-hmm.
Not a problem. The only difference is that I didn't want to take any chances of wearing the eye patch like I normally would, because it hurt to put pressure of any kind around here.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I could wear the eye patch if I wanted to. I just don't want to.
Well,
That's great.
Sometimes we get tired of wearing the same shirt every day.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So I'm just glad that you're doing so well.
Yeah, I'd wear what's comfortable for you.
So can you share tell everybody When Things Network and some of the shows on your network?
On the Things Network, we have about, I want to say 25 shows. It fluctuates between 25 and 30. Sometimes people come in, sometimes people leave. And we have some really, really good shows. We got this one right here. We also have my own personal shows. I'll plug them shamelessly. Supernatural Talk on Thursdays, and currently on hiatus, the 13th Dimension, which is on Fridays. But right now I am giving that time to Don and Nick so that they can do a second Fear Fans show on Fridays. And they do Fear Fans on actually shortly after this one. After this show will be Sharvinity. And then after Sharvinity will be Fear Fans, and they do horror movie reviews. And I pop onto their show a lot. Tonight they're going to be talking about Leprechaun. I probably won't hop on that one. I haven't seen that movie in a while.
It's horrible.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I think it's horrible.
But it's so much fun to watch, especially when you got that little bitty guy going.
Yeah, it is.
It's fun. Now the later movies in the series, they get bad. But the first one is a lot of fun to watch.
So.
And we also have several shows over from Europe. We have Paranormal Path Peeps on Monday. That is Jacqueline. And then we have the Simply Spooky Show with Vivian, Dan, Jamie, and Lois on Tuesdays. And then Lois does another show with Nick called To the Grave and Back. And not paranormal, they talk about serial killers on that show.
They might want to talk to me at some point.
Well, if Nick is in the background, I see Don's in the background, but if Nick is in the background, contact Denise.
Well,
Yeah.
my grandfather was a serial killer.
I remember you telling that story.
I'm from somewhere. So
Yeah.
I bring it up every now and then because
Oh yeah.
I find it interesting. Do I know that? Do I know that it's interesting? It is to some people, but to me, it's just my everyday life.
Yeah, that's the difference between something that you're interested in and something that you have to live with.
It is. I mean, I've had people send me things and say, "Hey, will you join our serial killer group?" And I'm like, "No." And they go, "Why?" And I said, "Because I lived it."
Yeah.
And when I talk about stuff all the time, but that's one thing. I'm not interested in serial killers. I lived with mine. I have more in common with BTK's daughter than I do serial killer fans. Make sense?
Yeah.
So
that is a very fine line for somebody in your place because you lived it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
And Don says we're actually having Fear Fans on Friday, not tonight. Just a heads up.
Oh, okay.
He'll talk about it when we bring him up.
Yeah, we'll be bringing him up in just a few minutes.
In a very short couple minutes here.
Any questions you have on movies of any genre, Don's got to talk to.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He is.
Especially when it comes to horror movies. He even has a list of his favorite horror movies down to, I think, about 20. I don't think I can make a list because I wouldn't be able to stick to it. It's just
Right.
depends on what my mood is for the day.
I like thrillers. I like ones that make you go, well, why? And that I can't guess what's going to happen next because I have a thing, and people are going to find it weird, possibly. I always know what's going to happen next. any show, any movie, anything like that. Except for the movies that I can't do that with piss me off. The Village. The Village pissed me off.
I was going to ask you if any of those was M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes, that one pissed me off. It's like, how do you not know that you're not in the century that you're in? You know, how do you not know that you're in the middle of a park
When you
somewhere?
think about that, think about the natives that have still been untouched by civilization down in Central and South America.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
may be touched, but you know what? Planes fly over.
And they go, the bird. Oh,
Yeah. So, but in this movie,
probably do.
plane, it's a no-fly zone, and there's signs all around saying "Do not enter." Why? How come? And why in the hell did you scare your kids with this thing
Yeah.
to keep them there? I mean, that's irresponsible. Like I said, I just got pissed off. And when I was done watching that movie, I was mad.
Of that movie, he pulled it off perfectly, because if you can't guess what's coming up next in the movie, that's what his goal is. So
Yeah,
with you, he succeeded brilliantly.
Now, see,
Right.
now the other M. Night Shyamalan movies, I didn't have that problem. I knew right away Bruce Willis was dead. I knew it. And so, I mean, I'm, not a big deal there. I knew that.
Well, with that first
with
scene,
no
it's kind of
discipline.
hard to imagine how he would have been able to survive that.
Mhm.
Especially with how graphic it actually got.
right.
And when the kid says, "I see dead people," that right there was
That's
the
kind
defining
of that's
point.
kind of the dead giveaway there too. No
Yeah,
pun-
but not people didn't see it until the end.
Yeah,
So-
didn't see it until later on.
But yeah, we'll have to talk about this, Don. But it's I can.
There you go. There you go, Don. The Village has to be one of your future episodes, and
Yeah.
Denise must be the guest on that one.
No,
Well-
no, I'm probably not the best at that, but
Right.
we'd like to thank you, Jeremy, so much for coming on.
Thanks for
Where is Things Network? Does it actually have a website, or is it just on Facebook?
I actually do have a domain name for it, but I haven't done anything with it in so long. It was actually back when Things Network was actually like the Taps family is, until 2 years ago when I converted it over to the podcast network. But
Right.
Things Network, you can look for it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, TikTok. For TikTok, you have to type in the Real Things Network. And on YouTube, when you type in Things Network, there's actually two of them. There's us, and then there's another Things Network, and that's got the entire search page monopolized. So do a search for Things Network on YouTube, and then go in and change your filters over to channel, and then it'll pop up then. And basically look for the logo that is similar to what you have there on your
Right.
background. I think the one that's on that one has the updated version, which is still the same colors, but different. And it also has a globe at the back of it.
Right.
But you can find Things Network pretty much anywhere, because I'm trying to expand the network so that it's not relying on Facebook.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Right.
I think that it needs to go that route.
Right.
Only for the fact that censorship.
Yep. They like the censor.
So, but thank you so much for coming on, everybody. Check out Things Network and all your streaming platforms. And we look forward to everything that you have to bring. And make sure, Jeremy, when you get your books ready to publish or you're ready to talk about them, that you let us know and we'll have you
Yeah.
on.
Awesome. Be glad to do that.
So thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Okay.
Keep getting well.
Right.
And now we'd like to welcome Don.
Whoop.
Oh, well, hey, Frank.
Hey,
We'll see you
the
back in a
buttons.
few minutes.
Hey, the buttons kept moving around.
Hey, Frank, you moved up one slot.
Yeah, you moved up. That's all right. We'll have Frank. on
We'll
there.
have FJB back in just a little bit.
That is his real initials. So
Yeah, it is.
So
But anyway, welcome, Don, to Paranormal Nation Radio.
Thank you.
so tell us a little about your show.
Well, it's an idea that me and my buddy Nick Millay came up with about I want to say it's almost a year ago now, like 10 months ago. We're both big horror fans. You know, we've watched horror films practically our entire lives. Me starting at 5 years old when I saw this gem right here.
yeah.
So in 1980, was that 1980 that you saw it?
No,
After
it
it
was
came out?
no, it was 1997.
So you saw it late.
I'm actually 30 years old. I actually saw it when I was just 5 years old. Yeah, my
Like I
dad.
said,
Yeah,
that's still late.
Let's see. I
'cause
seen
came
it
out
in
75.
74, 75
It was.
when it came out.
Yeah, June 1975. That's when my
guess-
dad. Yeah,
I
that's when
remember my dad took me to see it.
my dad saw it in high school with his buddies back then.
Yeah, we saw it at the drive-in theater
Yep.
with The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Another favorite.
So needless to say, I was scared shitless.
Yeah,
So-
we saw Jaws and went back. It was at the drive-in, and we went, we got to see this movie again. And we
Yeah.
went back the next night.
That's
Yeah,
what a lot of
that
people
was-
do. You know, like when movies
Couldn't get
come out.
enough.
Richard Dreyfuss is in a lot of Ron's favorite movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a good one.
His is what is it? Let It Ride.
Let it ride.
Let It Ride. He has to watch
If you
it.
haven't seen it, you got, even if you don't care about horse racing, it's funny.
It's got some good people in it.
It's perfect characters.
I'll definitely look into it for sure.
So
But-
It starts off really funny. I mean, it'll have you rolling on the ground.
so
I see.
So- I want to say something before we get started talking to you some more. Anybody who wants to come on the show for open mic night, just be aware you will be in the order in which you come in. And we're giving you, 10, 15 minutes to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. And if you're in the chat right now and you want to come in, Barbara, please click the link that I put in the chat that we have on Facebook, so that we can put you in the rotation. And other than that, you can talk about anything you want. I don't care if it's politics or, Jeremy talked about what he's working on. Frank's going to be talking about what he's working on. Don's going to be talking about whatever he's working on.
Whatever he wants to talk about.
And maybe Nick will show up, too. Nick is a great guy. And you're lucky to be working with him. He's
yeah.
been in some horror movies. Hasn't
Oh
he?
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I was saying because
Yeah,
I know
great
a
guy.
lot of the same people he knows.
Yeah, I've been friends with him since we were 12. So
Is that right?
me and him-
He's
Oh,
a good
wow.
guy.
The first
Yeah,
time
me
we
and him-
met him, well, it was all of them, but I told Denise, I said, this guy is just, he's got
Gung-ho.
great enthusiasm about the paranormal and all this stuff. I said, it's infectious. I mean, it was great listening to him.
Oh
I
yeah.
said, yeah, he's really into this stuff. Of course,
oh, yeah,
the
he's
jacket
into
he was wearing helped too.
Oh yeah, the vest he wears with
Yeah, the vest.
all the stuff sewed on it.
Yeah,
That's his insignia.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely his calling
So I
card.
said, we were getting ready to leave the hotel, and I said, well, we got to go up and talk to these guys. And I mean, we were, oh my gosh, we were there a while.
Yep.
We left a lot later than we thought we were.
Yeah.
yeah, the paravest. That's what he
Paravest.
called it.
And I worked on Paranormal Conference with Tom and worked on it with Nick's dad. Nick's dad was there to help us out.
Oh,
So
nice.
so you're very lucky to get to know their family. They're very
Wow.
nice people. So now
Great people.
let's get back to you.
Yeah,
So what
it's
do you
your time frame. Talk about
tell us
anything
about
you
your
want.
show, whatever it is you want to talk about. We want to hear.
Okay, so yeah, my show, we've been covering all sorts of topics regarding horror films. They're all like doing reviews on them. I came up with this idea because Nick and I did before the show, we did a discussion video on my YouTube channel focusing on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And I'm thinking, and like Nick was talking to me about Things Network, and people are doing podcasts on there. And I pitched the idea to him and to Jeremy. So, and they both agreed with it. And so that's what led to me having the podcast that I now call the Fear Fans Podcast. When I first started out, I was struggling trying to come up with the right name for it, but it just came to me. But
that's how I got my name. I mean, it's just random stuff comes to you, and you go, "I can't get away from this. This is the name I need." You know, like my show is called the Paranormal Pride. Well, my last name. I mean, how hard is that? But it just made sense. So when you brought up Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of the towns that we lived in where we met, that's the only movie they played at the drive-in for.
Oh yeah.
I swear it was every weekend. That was the only movie. And so I saw that movie probably
We were probably
10 or 12 times. And I mean, I got to the point where I didn't watch it, of course, but it was just a social thing then. But social, not.
I know. It was just, I remember our group laughing in a lot of the parts.
Because it was the one from, the early 80s.
Right.
Or like, I think it was like 1979, wasn't it?
1974.
Okay. See, I wouldn't see in 1974. I was 9.
Yeah, they were. Well, and then they'd show it later. So it was like the opening movie.
Yeah.
They'd show older ones that had been out for.
Well, you look at the horror films that were made way back, even before Dom was born.
Oh,
we saw them when they came out the very first time.
Yeah, there was no CGI.
It sticks with you in your mind.
It does.
It does.
It does. I mean, because a lot of that stuff was more real than it is now. I mean, we think about it, and it's like there wasn't a lot of ways to make it computerized, like it is now, where I don't know. I just it was scary to us back then. The lack of technology kind of made it that.
Well, that's like
more real.
Up, I always wanted the Christine car. Go out and wreck it and come back and it rebuilds itself.
Plymouth Fury. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, if you didn't like somebody, the car went and took care of the problem.
Yep.
That would be bad in the paranormal.
Oh yeah, it would be.
Oh yeah, I believe I saw.
Oh
yeah, I believe I saw one of the models for it. This like one of those car museums. Yeah, because my nephew, 4-year-old nephew, he loves cars, and I showed him the Ghostbusters, the Echo One, let's see, one of the Batmobiles. Then he saw the red car, and I was like, oh, that's Christine, the Plymouth Fury. He didn't know it. 4 years old, obviously too young to learn about Christine, so I didn't really explain much there. But he just liked the way it looked.
There was some really neat cars at that casino. We were in. We went out to Jean, Nevada. That's where the Pioneer Saloon is. And when you come out, there is a casino over there, Terrible's, or not Terrible's, the one across the road from there. And we're just walking around. And they had all the movie cars in there, the Batmobile, and I took pictures of all of them, of course. That was really, kind of neat. But I knew that they were all reproductions, so it wasn't that great. But it was kind of neat to see them. And then the other place, if you ever get a chance to go, and it's free, it is Count's Custom Cars.
Huh? That sounds familiar.
It's a show on TV.
Yeah, okay, that's where I saw it. Okay.
Yeah.
Custom, Counts something. But we went out there. First off, the place is haunted, but second of all, the cars are great.
Oh.
So we loved it. And of course, his theme for his place is, vampires. So it fits into your genre of stuff, of horror movies. So what is your? He said, Jeremy said you have a list of horror movies. What's your top two?
Top two are Alien is number one, Psycho is number two.
Okay,
And I have
Alien. I can see. I've seen that one.
Yeah. I've
Watch
seen
that.
Psycho.
And Psycho, I've never seen. I
Yeah,
am
it's,
one.
yeah, Psycho is one of the best plot twists of all time. I think it's
So I'll have to check it out.
it's definitely on par with what you said before about Bruce Willis's character, like as far as him in The Sixth Sense. It's definitely a amazing twist on par with that. It's great.
Yeah, Sixth Sense was real. That was good.
Yeah.
Here.
One of the horror movies that really got to me, we won't say one of the new ones, but one of the middle ones here and everything. And that's the original movie Saw.
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, you're sitting there watching it and everything's going on. And they got to do this and they got to kill their person and everything. And there's a dead guy that you think is on the floor. And he's the one doing it all. Yep. I mean, I sat there and watched that show. And when that popped up, I went, oh my God. I had to go back and watch the movie and watch real close to see if he moved or, something set you could find out before you would thought it would end.
Yeah, they did an amazing job with building up the suspense leading to that twist.
Yeah. I mean, the suspense was everybody sitting there just going, okay, when's this guy going to come out that's got the voice in the background?
Let's see.
And
Yes.
when he gets up, you're like, oh my God, he's been in there all this time.
Oh, yeah. And Saw is number 20 on my list. Yeah. I actually do have the
it
list.
Made
right
your
here.
list at least.
Yeah.
Where's The Exorcist rank?
Okay.
Halloween's number 4. Silence of the Lamb, that's when Dawn of the Dead, Nightmare on Elm Street. The Exorcist, number 9.
Oh.
American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, we covered
Those
that one.
Those are some great movies.
Oh, yeah. We covered like American Werewolf in London. We covered that, I believe, episode 8 or 9, one of those two. One of those two. I remember because I had COVID at the time, but I didn't want to let that hold me back.
No. Right.
I just love the practical effects in American Werewolf in London, and especially with that transformation scene. That scene is iconic, and the fact that they actually did this with no CGI, no visual effects, all of it practical.
So you and Nick gonna make your own movie?
We
horror movie?
We might. Both of us have been thinking about that for a while.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
So remember I said I like thrillers?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the movies that kind of crosses over that a little bit is Identity with John Cusack.
Oh, John Cusack. I have yet to see that. I want to.
Now that one will make you think. It is a psychological thriller that's kind of horrifying in itself, but I'm not going to give it away. But when you guys check out Identity, let me know what you think, because it made me go, really?
And Jeremy says he's going to write the story for their horror film.
And he said, not really. Oh, man. Oh, somebody here said 7. That's a great one.
Yeah.
1408 is one of my favorites. The Raven, not a horror movie, but based on a horror writer.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Mm-hmm. Denise and Ron are freezing up again.
Yeah. Oh, here. Jeremy's saying, I'm surprised Jaws isn't on that list. Well, Jaws to me is more like a thriller than horror.
It was a thriller.
Yeah.
And what was amazing about the movie Jaws was before the movie came out, everybody was getting a great white here and there and stuff, but nobody ever got a gigantic great white. As soon as that movie came out, if I remember right, it was within 2 weeks after the movie debuted, somebody caught one that was a lot bigger than the one they used in the model.
Not sure if I read about that, but
Yeah, you might check that up on your story on it. But yeah, I mean, there's been some great whites caught throughout the years that make that one look like a little bitty baby.
yeah, people often do catch larger sharks in the wild because that's the thing. Like there are a lot of tiny animals that grow up bigger in the wild than they would in captivity. That because they're in a natural habitat. There's like far more they can do out there. They like nobody's ever been able to keep a great white alive because they're used to being out in open water and like the wide ranges, hundreds of miles of, and there's no way they'd be able to pull that off.
Right.
In any
That,
aquarium. No.
when they made the special effects sport, they thought they were making one bigger than, life size, what they thought at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then to catch one bigger than that, and you're like, oh my God, there is one out there that can eat a boat. We'll put it that way.
I hear you. Yeah, and Jaws did make a huge impact on box office. Considered the first summer blockbuster, and also served as like inspiration for this big craze during the 70s and 80s. People putting out all kinds of animal like horror films. My favorite out of those is probably Piranha, which me and Nick wanted to cover this summer. Yeah, because Nick says, "Oh,
I like Cujo."
Ooh, Cujo.
Anaconda was
good.
Anaconda.
Yeah,
I thought
I had
was
a
kinda
Saint
funny.
Bernard when that movie came out too. I was like, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, make sure he doesn't play around with bets.
Yeah.
So Don, tell us when as you may have covered this and I may have missed it, but can you tell everybody when your show is on so everybody can come out and check it out?
Well, lately we've been putting it on for our usual time is Tuesday at 8:30 Central Time, but lately we've been having to reschedule to Fridays because like other people had other things going on. Like Nick has had something going on, and so did our other co-host Jill. But yeah, this Friday we're covering Leprechaun because it's St. Patrick's Day,
Right.
and I figured it would be ideal, So,
Right.
yeah, and Leprechaun is a movie that me and Nick just enjoy making fun of. It's obviously not the best movie ever, but far from it. But
It was low budget.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I actually had Ron used to watch this show on horse racing TV, and they had a guy that was on that show. He was a commentator. He looked like a leprechaun.
Mm.
He what is he, the guy that runs the Santa Anita racetrack stuff out there, the media or something?
I don't know what he does now.
That's what he was doing at one point. He was doing stuff at the Santa Anita racetrack. But yeah, every time I saw him, all I would do is smile and go, he looks like a leprechaun. So and pretty much from that movie that he looked like him. So
oh yeah, and I just like how it's like Jennifer Aniston's first film. Like, it's the very next year she started that sitcom Friends. It's like you look at this, it's like, wow, she's really come a long way. And I just like how the Leprechaun is played by Warwick Davis, who I've seen all sorts of movies. Like in Return of the Jedi, he was Wicket, the Ewok leader, one of those little teddy bear looking aliens, as some people describe them. Yeah.
I love the Ewoks. My daughter's dog looks like an Ewok. And the next guest that we're going to have, Frank J. Bennett, or FJB, he's probably met some of these people at some of the events that he's gone to, because he's
going,
he goes to a lot of these events because he actually worked in the business.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be going to him here in just a little bit. So you said about Jennifer Aniston, Demi Moore's first movie. They actually, in the movie, One Crazy Summer, it was a funny movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They actually have they're making fun of a dolphin with rabies, a horror movie. And so it's a make Jaws, but it's a dolphin with rabies. And then
nobody's gonna believe that.
Yeah, and then on top of it, they actually have a Godzilla scene in there. You've got to see this Godzilla scene. It is hilarious. It's Bob Goldthwait in a Godzilla suit, and the guy who owns this is he's getting ready to turn this place into a little selling homes in the area, really high priced homes. And Bob Goldthwait somehow, some way gets a cigar in his mouth and he's running around in this Godzilla suit.
No, he's trying out.
Yeah, I've got it right. And
That's how he gets stuck in the suit.
He ends up at this party, and he's showing the guy who's got doing the housing development is showing it to a Japanese investor. And he ends up, and it's all these little buildings, and he ends up stomping on all these buildings like Godzilla would. And the Japanese guy is laughing.
The old guy in the wheelchair always smoking this big old stogie. He gets down, he just flicks it, and of course, he's got his mouth open on the costume, and the cigar goes in right in his mouth, and it catches on fire. He's like, oh! And he's stomping around on this little.
Right.
So they're making fun of some of the horror movies at that point. So if you're looking for a parody of something,
yeah, everybody's running around.
Demi
laughing.
Moore and John Cusack. As you know, I know every John Cusack movie up until a few years ago. When I found out that Crystal was there when I saw him and I asked a question, but that was it. You know, my love of John Cusack has gone down because
in real life he's an a-hole.
Yeah.
He got political at a time that he shouldn't have.
Big time.
That's all. But check that out and it'll make you laugh. One Crazy Summer is like 1983.
And I've had other show hosts like of Things Network on this before. I've Jeremy, of course, he's been in some episodes. Yeah, Carl, I believe you were on Pet Cemetery. I believe. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was on the one with the American Werewolf in London.
Oh yeah, that's right. And it's coming back to me.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, I always welcome other show hosts to join onto it because like we always have fun on the podcast. Like go on covering all of our favorite horror films. We have just completed this right here, the original Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Yeah, Freddy Krueger, and we plan to for ones that we plan on covering in the near future. Right after Leprechaun, the very next week we're covering Megan. Nick and I have decided we should cover that now that Jill has seen it as well. And one show that has become a major hit on HBO we really want to cover is The Last of Us. Yeah,
what?
like Nick, The Last of Us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just saw that there was something on there. Is the final season?
Mm-hmm. Oh no, it's not the final season. It's the season finale.
Yeah. See, like I said, I haven't seen it. I don't have HBO, but the Megan thing does look creepy.
That's because it is. It's.
I mean, I had dolls that would walk with me. You hold.
You guys need to make your own horror movie.
Yeah,
you guys got enough experience and kind of have an idea, I'm sure.
And Nick knows some people.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, just get out your video camera and get a few people. Acting's not hard.
Well, we got three more guests down in the green room waiting.
Yep. So, Don, thank you so much.
Yeah, Don,
and
thank you.
And we are going to bring up.
Thanks, Don. Tell Nick hi for us.
And
I will do.
Come back anytime.
Yeah, glad to. Gladly.
Okay. So,
take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
We're going to bring up Frank J. Bennett now. And I can't wait to hear what you've got going on. Yeah, stop playing with stuff.
It's Frank.
You guys.
So tell us. I know that you've got a new book out now.
Oh, sugar. I forgot to grab a copy of it. Yeah, I do. It's called Questions for God. I published it in November last year, and it looks good, and everybody's enjoying it, as you can tell by the posts.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the reasons that I'd like to hear a little bit more. And Jeremy asks, are those wrestling figures in the background?
Oh, yeah. Oh
yeah.
Oh shoot, yeah. But I'm very selective. I only collect characters I like. There are some dudes that'll just pick a character because it was involved in a wrestling franchise. No, these are people who I have either met or have really, really like. I've met the majority of all of them.
Well,
so I need to make a bobblehead
for you to have. He does a wrestling show now on Things Network.
See what?
Jeremy that was on earlier. he does a wrestling show, talks about the old wrestlers and new ones on Things Network.
Yeah, I've got another friend on Facebook named Zach Stark, and he's a pro wrestler. Sending me, he said he posts videos around the clock of his pro wrestling matches. It's pretty cool. It's a rough business. I worked in it very briefly as security. The old WCW, I'm sorry, AWA before it collapsed in the late 80s. I worked security for some of their matches. Got to know some of them. Scott Hall. Got to meet and get to know him, and a few other fine folks. So I'm a little.
So who are some?
I couldn't name one.
Yeah. So who are some of the people involved in that? Because I can't. I don't know. I know who I know, and I know who I don't know.
Well, at the time that they hired me to do ring security, Sergeant Slaughter was the champion, and I would walk. I'm only 5'10" and over 200 pounds. They would have a little guy like me march 6'8" Slaughter to and from the dressing room to the ring and try to keep people off of them. I think Denise and Ron froze up again.
No.
But anyway,
I know nothing about wrestling.
Huh?
I know nothing about wrestling.
Yeah, Corporal Kirshner was another one that I got to meet. Jay Strongbow's son, who always showed up drunk, he was there. And Wendy Richter, who just a year before wrestled at the WrestleMania for the WWF, just started in the AWA. So I got to meet her and a lot of other names, but it was pretty cool. I was asked on 2 different occasions to become a pro wrestler, and I couldn't do it.
Can you go back to that? WWF, can you WTF that so I can understand that?
Well, I was, Denise, you and I were very fortunate. We grew up in the Baltimore, D.C. area, and on your 4 channels, let's not count PBS, on your 4 channels, you could get the old WCW, you can get the WWF, and you can get what started to be TBS, which would have been Mid-South.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And Chicago.
Yeah,
you can get all them in your service.
Flair.
Right. Flair was the big cheese.
Yeah. When he was young, and let's see. Oh, the big, tall African-American guy.
Ernie Ladd.
Who was
No, that was another guy.
The big cat, Ernie Ladd, was over 7 feet tall. He was big guy.
When I used to go to the dog track when it was open out here, they had a bunch of security guards, but there was 2 of them. They were real cool. Talked to them all the time. They got to know me. They just knew my face and everything. Talked to them all the time. And I guess after the track closed, somebody said that they were big time wrestlers. I had no idea.
A lot of pro wrestlers.
I had no idea who they were.
A lot of pro wrestlers. Demolition Axe, Bill Eadie. For a while, when he got out of wrestling, he had a security business, and I met him at a show in Buffalo. He's really smart. A lot of pro wrestlers get into either security or law enforcement or something like that. The guy who played, what was his name? The one who slapped the ABC reporter on TV. He's a process server down in Louisiana.
Mm.
Yeah, I met Bulldog Bob Brown, Andre.
That was one of the guys.
R. Jones.
Mm-hmm.
All those.
Yeah, Bob Brown was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was one of the guys, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
Yeah, I was asked on 2 occasions to become.
I had no idea
because of my build, and I had to say no. One of which is because at the time my dad was in the hospital, and he had an angina. He was in hospital. I go up to see him, and he's sharing a room with a pro wrestler. Name was Karakov, and he and his brother Neil were a tag team. And the reason why he was in the hospital is because his younger brother came off the top rope, landed on him by mistake, and destroyed his knee.
Mm.
So these guys had nothing to fall back on if they get hurt. And that's how I saw myself. I mean, you got to give up your whole life to do it. And no, thank you. The guy who was asking me to become his tag partner was built like a gigantic barrel, black man, and he was just the sweetest person on the earth. I met him actually when I was doing demolition work. And he was over 440 pounds. And the thought in my head was is that all this guy has to do is fall on me once, and I don't eat solid food, much less work anywhere again. That was one reason. And years later, when I was asked a second time to get into pro wrestling, I was in a relationship and I just simply didn't want to leave it. You know, you'd have to go on the road, leave your loved ones and stuff like that. I just didn't want to do it.
I've done railroads.
Yeah, I remember Dusty Rhodes. I
Mhm.
remember Jerry the King Lawler.
Yep.
Met him.
Jerry the King Lawler is funny.
Yeah, he is. He's also a commentator for somebody at this point.
He's also one of the most talented comic artists you will ever find.
He was always very friendly.
Yeah.
Every time, I mean, because I met him in Blytheville, Arkansas, when I was probably 16. So it's been a long time. And then, Jerry.
Well, you know, he started wrestling in 1969. Lawler.
Yeah, and I was seeing him in the 80s, 1980. 19 actually it probably would have been 1980.
Yeah. Now for everybody listening, about a month or so ago, Mr. Lawler had a stroke and he's not doing too good.
Oh.
So, you know, think happy, warm thoughts for Jerry.
And then let's see who else. Jerry Hart.
Yeah.
And then his son died here in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Down at Kemper Arena.
Yeah.
An accident there.
Oh, that was a while ago.
That was, and that was Owen Hart. It was related to him. There's a family out of
Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
That's not related. Right. That's not related to the family that was in Memphis. So it's easy to get them mixed up. So I don't know if they were related or not, but you know, I got them. And then, the guy that played on Taxi, Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
Met him. He was a dick.
If you want to piss off Jerry Lawler, bring up the name Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
With a passion, he hates Jim Carrey. With a passion.
I don't like him either.
Yeah.
He plays the same
Because-
character in every movie. The best character
He's
he
not even
played
funny.
was the Grinch,
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
where we don't have to actually see him.
Yeah. Well, you see, Jim Carrey has his own version of who Andy Kaufman was, but Lawler worked with him very closely and has a completely different version of who Andy Kaufman is.
I would bet so, because I mean, he just the way that he acted towards women.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
But maybe it was just a shtick.
It was
But
all shtick, yeah.
But
was
I
all
really
shtick.
liked him on Taxi.
But the thing with Kaufman was he wasn't just pulling that gag on the public; he was pulling it on his best friends. Robin Williams was one of his best friends, and had him completely sold that he was invested in this, and he was going to get really, really hurt and stuff like that. And wearing the fake
wrestling
championship belt under his clothes. I mean, he faked out everybody. But Lawler worked with him. He had a lot of respect for Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, all those wrestlers from out of Memphis, they would travel all around that area that we lived in, and he hates it.
I don't know a thing
but
about
some of those
wrestling.
people, like
I wish you could bet on it because I'd make a fortune.
Yeah,
I know he's going to win before they get out there. But
I told this to Dawn Wells when I knew her, and I swear it was like going in one ear and out the other. She just couldn't compute it. But pro wrestling is the most purest form of theater.
it is.
You know, you get hired to play a part. You play that character, and you got to play him psychologically, and you got to play him physically. I mean,
I didn't say it wasn't hard. It's a hard
And
job.
you got to be in damn good, perfect shape.
Right. And I know
Physical.
accidents happen.
yeah. Well, now,
But I also know that it's not real.
right. Well, yeah, it's
Because if they did
theater.
half that stuff, they kill each other.
But now, what he just said, damn good condition. Andy Kaufman was a scrawny little guy, but he sold tickets.
He did.
And that's really what the name of the game was. Be a character that can sell tickets.
Jim
Yep.
Carrey is playing Biden. Oh,
Well, Barbara,
a
you'll be
brain
able to
dead.
tell us about that here in a little bit. So,
Yeah.
perfect guy, brain dead idiot.
So where
That's
can
the
we?
easy part.
So in your book, Questions for God.
Yeah.
What is?
Yeah, I want to hear about this.
What do you think the biggest question is to God?
Oh, the reason why I wrote the book, and you'll notice when you look at the cover, it's actually railroad tracks that go around a bend. Okay. For many years in the 1980s, I didn't have a home, so I wandered the railroad tracks, from town to town looking for work. Okay, like so many other people had to do. And I go to one town, meet a bunch of people, they're going through stuff, and they've got questions. And after we get through all of our problems, they kind of disappear, and I go on to the next town. It was really like the Incredible Hulk. You wander from town to town, and you meet new people, and the Hulk shows up, ruins everything. You got to move to the next town. It was a lot like that. The number one question I ever got is why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? I would say that is number one.
Right.
Number two.
That was my thought.
Yeah. But you see, the premise of the problem is with the question. You've automatically assumed that you're good. And you automatically assumed that you would be good in God's eyes. He's got his own definition of what good is. And you have to understand that first before you can ask the question. And a lot of people really think themselves good who are doing horrific things.
Oh, yeah.
The question
There's
is,
a lot of people out there that think, oh, I do this so good and everything. I'll go to heaven. Well, if you haven't accepted him, you're not going.
Mm-hmm. You live in a world that's ruled by Satan. God did not make this. This is not what he intended. You want to find out what he intended? Read Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2. That's what he intended. Sin comes into the picture in the book of Genesis chapter 3, verses 4 through 8, changes all things, all creation, everywhere, even that which is not living. And that's what we live in. And once you understand that, a lot of other things fall into place. So you can go around blaming God for all your woes, but you're not living in his world. You're not living in his creation. You're playing by somebody else's rules, and he doesn't like you at all.
It's like somebody who's only a good person on Sunday.
Exactly.
I mean,
Go to church on Sunday, go to the bar on Monday.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and I know that I'm not the best person in the world, but I always try to be the person I think other people may see me as. I don't see me as being a leader of anything, but if other people see me that way, I'm going to try to behave that way more often than not. Try to keep myself, above all else. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're all human, and
you
were made a certain way, and what you were made is not what you've ended up being,
right?
Because of the way the world is.
Yeah, the way I've been influenced by other things.
Exactly, and living and non-living. Mm-hmm. People must remember that. In my first book, I detail how I suffered horrible spiritual oppression day after day, night after night. And as a teenager, it's easy to confuse it with depression. You see, in the 70s, they were big on that. If all teens had depression, here's medication. It'll take care of it. But the spirits are still there working on you. Mm-hmm. And it's their goal to drive you to your destruction. That's what their job is. And wouldn't it be grand if you destroyed yourself by your own hand? And today, right now, suicides are higher than they have ever been.
Yep.
Ever been.
And speaking of that,
text 988
or call.
Yes.
I'll tell you right now, social media and the telephone doesn't help. No. That's not helping at all.
No.
Yeah, so dig it. You've got many things driving you to be bad. So
I was telling Denise I think it was last night. I said, this social media, I said, when it all first started, I looked at her and I went, it's like junior high and high school all over again. The part I didn't like.
The drama.
That was a part of high school and junior high I didn't like. The rest of it I loved. I said, that's
Yeah.
what it looked. That's exactly what it looked like. I said, I'm not signing up for that. I never will.
Some folks can't live without the drama.
I can.
No problem.
I can. I'll tell
Some
you.
folks are
I
making
don't
money
care.
off of our drama.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I only joined Facebook originally. My friends in Baltimore that I hadn't been seeing because I couldn't get back, my mother and my sisters, and that was it. Yeah, and now I have 4,500 friends. And you know, I can say that at least 2,000 of the people out there that I'm friends with, I actually know. I've actually talked to them, or talk to them over the phone, or talk to them through video. I actually know them.
Hey, we're in sync.
Yeah. So, but that's important to me. In the other 2,500, hey, if you want to get to know me, reach out and get to know me. I would much rather that than empty friendship.
Oh,
Well, it's like the first time I met Frank is also the first time we got to meet you and Ron
Mm-hmm.
down at the Kansas City Paracon.
Yep.
yeah.
Same
Now,
as-
Hey,
real quick,
dude.
your previous guest, and forgive me, I just don't do names. But Nick Muley is one of my friends also, and
Yeah.
if Nick is listening, everybody loves you, Nick. Can't wait to see you again. You're just good people.
There he is.
But we're
You're
all
gonna-
hoping
you're gonna
secretly
see him
you
here
get-
real
There he
quick.
we're
is.
secretly hoping you get help.
Surprise, surprise.
So Nick, I will bring you back, but I at least wanted him to know you were here because he can't see who's.
Yeah,
in
I
the
just
green room.
I just looked on there. I said, "Who's that in the corner
Yeah.
there?" I'm like, "Oh, that's Nick."
So,
Go
welcome
Nixter.
back.
Go Nixter. Go Nixter.
Hey,
So
And Frank, Jeremy York just sent you a friend request.
they
that was
want to
on
talk to you about
earlier.
wrestling,
So
Who's
about wrestling.
Jeremy York?
no.
huh?
Who's Jeremy York?
The guy who was just on before.
Just
Dawn.
one before. Okay. Don't do names. I just don't
The
do
one
names.
with the patch on his eye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All righty now. Yeah, the pirate.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
He's
kidding.
also the owner and producer of Things Network.
Just kidding.
it's
So
all good.
anyway,
He has a sense of humor.
the second most abundant of all questions, because everybody goes through stuff. The first instinct is to blame God. Tell me if anybody has ever once heard somebody go, "Well, Muhammad, damn it, Buddha, damn it." What's the first thing everybody does?
Yeah.
GD it.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Even people who are atheists. Explain that.
Yeah.
It's a great catchphrase.
Yeah, seriously.
It's one of the originals.
That's true.
I mean,
It is.
and I have to say I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that to the point to where my daughter was saying that in public when she was a baby, when she was little. And that, guess what I stopped doing when
Mhm.
my daughter said it in front of a school teacher.
Well, I'm going to try to do this without being preachy. I may have lost a Facebook friend over this, but I made a recent commentary how I did not particularly care for the new Star Trek Picard because they made it very dark, very gritty, and the language just was flying gratuitously, which means unnecessary to the content of the discussion.
Right.
You kind of mean like on paranormal shows when they act like they don't know that they're being taped and they throw
Pretty
it
much, yeah.
forward.
All the time.
I mean, you're
Pretty
being
much, yeah.
taped. You know it. Watch what you
Yeah, I would love to see the blooper reels from those things of them bumping into the cameraman, or somebody being caught off camera sipping a coffee. I'd love to catch the blooper reels of those things, but my point was that and this was also in the first book, is that I caught myself doing that for no good reason, just spewing GDs when I got frustrated, and I mean in a long string, just spewing them. And I caught myself and I realized, no, this is not natural. Something's making me do this. I'm not like this.
Right.
And so I went about this deal where I would do about anything to avoid letting it come out of my mouth, even if I felt it. And so when I watch media or listen to media, if it's got maybe, I'll let a couple fly, one or two, because, Hollywood. But if it's gratuitous like that, I just won't watch the rest of it. and my friend on Facebook didn't agree. But it's got to be, if you're angry and you say something in anger and rage, it's got to be it's got to fit into the context of the situation. Not like Robert De Niro, who has a GD for everything he does.
Yeah. That just gets old.
It does.
It does.
That's like I was saying. So think back to, we're gonna go back to movies. Apocalypse Now.
Oh yeah.
Every other word was the F word, and for a 15-year-old, that was a lot. And I mean, do you know, I never wanted to see that movie again. And
I met Tom Berenger at a show in Cleveland. We got to talking, and he's a pretty gritty guy. So I pretty much see it. That's easy for him. The other actors, not so much.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen's character, not so much.
Oh, you mean Martin Sheen?
No. That was Apocalypse Now or
Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
Or Platoon.
The other Sheen was in Platoon. Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie Sheen was.
I'm thinking about Platoon then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I saw Apocalypse Now once, and quite honestly, there are some movies you watch that you honestly can't remember what you watched.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger did a movie in the mid-1980s. Fudge cookies with chocolate chips. I forgot what it was.
I really couldn't tell you what it was about.
I've seen it 4 times to this day. I couldn't tell you what was in it.
Vietnam War.
Yeah. I remember seeing it, and I never wanted to see it again. And the next week, I went to see Grease.
Raw Deal. That was the name of the movie.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it 4 times in the mid-'80s. Can't tell you what the movie was about.
Platoon was a really good movie.
Oh yeah, gratuitous.
Frank, what?
Well, yeah, but it was pretty.
Any events or anything?
It was pretty true to.
Say again.
Do you have any events coming up?
Well, next week I'm going to be in Owensboro, Kentucky for Fear Fest, and it's going to be a 3 or 4 day event, and I'll be teaching a class on how to write the paranormal.
Huh.
Are you going to have somebody tape it for you?
No, I didn't plan on it, but hey, things happen.
Okay.
For anybody who needs to learn how to write about the paranormal, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, I'll be teaching them what the difference is between the two, because to this day, there are still folks that like to blend them, but also how you structure, format, and frame a story and get it published. That's what the class is going to be about.
So the thing that you're planning on trying to get me to do.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you're coming, because you might enjoy the class.
No, remember, I got stuff coming up. I got to go find a house in Florida.
Yeah, I heard you're looking too.
Yes, but I'm dallying.
Okay.
I'm not.
We're dillying.
You see,
dilly-dally.
I've already lived in Florida twice before.
Yeah.
And before I do that for the 3rd time, I want to make sure that I'm not moving someplace that's subject to red tide.
Well, where we're looking at, we're not going to have to worry about it unless we go to the beach.
Which is where you'll find it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where
So, but I mean, when you think about it, I don't want to live on the beach. I want to live someplace where I can say, hurricane's coming.
Okay, well, it's going to be a while before I get it out, because I'm still compiling information for the book. But the title, it's going to be The Day the Oceans Died. And this is based on one single section of a verse located in the book of Revelations. It's actually attached to the end of another verse. Okay. And it's just so sublime how it just shows up. And the verse goes, and all living souls in the sea died. That's it. And so I'm basing an entire book on this, and I'm researching and explaining how every living life form in the sea could possibly die all at once. And once that happens, you think about the collateral damage after that, because of everything, all sea life is dead. The oceans become poisonous, and the majority, like something like 75% of everybody in this country lives within 5 or 10 miles of the oceans. People will be trying to get away from the oceans.
So what do you think this giant seaweed thing?
It's a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think they'll do anything to keep it from hitting Florida?
When no, you can't prevent it because it's a natural biological cycle of living and growing and dying.
Right.
It's a natural cycle. When we were living down there, we were about 10 miles from the beach, and you just went a couple weeks and you just couldn't go to the beach until they said it was okay.
Yeah.
The amazing thing is watching people so used to doing everything at the beach, figuring out what to do besides drink.
Huh.
You can't fish.
No, at least not
Yeah,
in the ocean.
we went down to Galveston one year, and there all you saw was jellyfish. I
Yeah, I
mean,
know. Oh,
it
dear
was
God, yes.
covered.
Tropical storm.
There's no way you could swim.
There was a
Oh,
tropical
yeah.
storm coming.
When we went to Bermuda, it was like that. Oh,
Yeah.
dear gosh, yes.
So the area that we're looking at will have lots and lots of fresh water as well, because it is the canoe capital of the United States.
Oh yeah, there's tons of lakes and rivers.
So-
right there. So
1,500 miles river.
Denise would love to know what.
Yeah, I would like to live inland, but
Right.
make sure that the beach would be a day trip. You drive out in the morning,
Right.
stay
Yeah.
for the day, and then you can move back home.
Yeah,
That's how I like it.
30 minutes.
It'll also give you a little insulation against the hurricanes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we're looking where we're looking. So,
Right.
well,
This is
Frank,
nice.
Frank, you know what? We could talk all day, and we still have 2 more people to bring in. So tell everybody where they can find you, and hopefully you see a lot of people at Fear Fest.
Well, I'm going to tell you, just type my full name into Google, Frank J. Bennett, and about anything you want to know about me will come up. And make sure you always put the J in the middle, because if you don't, you get some creepy lounge singer over here in Las Vegas. Otherwise, I'm going to be seeing a lot of you listening in Owensboro, Kentucky, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Well, I can't wait till we get moved and we get to start traveling again. So we just got to get all this stuff done so we can get out of here. But thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you around. Anytime you want to come on and promote something, let me know. We'll try again.
For all you other celebrities out there, if you find yourself sitting behind some lady at the Oscars with some gigantic headpiece, just think happy thoughts. You can always watch the playback of the show on TV.
Yep.
Or not watch it at all.
That's right. We'll see you later, Frank. Thanks for stopping
Have a
by.
good night.
Right.
Take it easy, guys.
Good night. Our next guest is a show host on our network. Her name is Barbara, but you guys may know her as Jailbird. So welcome, Barbara.
Your mic.
You're muted.
Yeah, there goes the show host.
Yeah,
already.
that's a professional right there.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Like, you guys haven't done it yet before.
Oh no, never. Like every other week.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I'm
so-
usually pretty good about that because I don't want the flack that I just got from you guys.
Hey, we have to joke around.
I know.
if we're
Hi,
not
Pastor
laughing,
Gary.
yeah, if we're not laughing, we're not doing it right.
That's
No.
right.
No, and that's the problem is that people have forgotten how to laugh. That's one of the biggest problems, I think. Everything is so serious, and
Not much sense of humor from a lot of people I've noticed. Yeah.
no, I mean, if you look at
I'm offended by that statement that we don't laugh at that.
well, we laugh.
No,
We need
We
to do
try
another,
to on
another,
a few of the shows
another
and
liberal show.
everything.
Ron, we'll have to get you on the liberal show. How to make the liberals cry again. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody.
That's all right. But
That's not hard to do.
but Barbara has a show coming on right after the Paranormal Nation radio show at 8 p.m. tonight Central Time on the Billerites Network.
Mhm.
And
With
I'll
my
get to
co-host,
surprise her. I get to surprise her right now.
Uh-oh.
Your show is going to be the first one on Rumble.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
So,
Awesome. This one
it's-
should have been the first one on Rumble.
well, that's all right. I just got
Yeah.
it all set up and put a video out. And not the
cool.
video I wanted to make, but I got
Cool.
it set up. I've got it on the other monitor, and
Yeah.
it's all ready for your show.
Well, I don't think I'm going to get much in tonight with Kyle because Kyle is pretty hot-headed tonight. So with everything, and he's been battling trolls, and I think they've moved over to my page because I'm getting all kinds of messages and notifications. Ruth had told me that one of my posts was just full of them, and I just don't have I need a secretary now. That's, because my messenger is full all the time. I can't keep up with my messenger. I can't keep up with my page. It's just taken a life on its own.
Denise got something to say.
Did you set up an automatic reply on your Facebook Messenger?
No,
You need to do that.
I don't know how to do that. Okay, you and I will talk.
Okay.
Yeah, you set an automatic reply up and everything, and that'll take care of a lot of them, or bring a
Really?
lot more out. One of the two.
One down. I mean, I have, I don't know how many posts I do a day, but I mean, some of my posts have like 500-600 comments on there, bunch of shares and thousands of views, and I can't keep up with it anymore. It's just it's tiring sometimes.
To let everybody know,
Chris,
me and
I haven't
Barbara has been
seen
talking.
you in a
We're
long
thinking about
time.
starting another show on Friday nights.
Yeah.
An open mic night
Yeah.
for political.
Yeah.
To people to come on and talk about what they're seeing going on.
Yeah, if we can
what
get
their views are.
if we can get enough people, because this is great where people can come on, and to me this, because I'm, anybody that knows me, I'm very political, and I have a big mouth. I'm not afraid to use it, and I. Carl sits there. Sometimes on Monday nights, he's got the deer in the headlight. I could read his mind. He's like, "Well, that's a violation. That's another violation." But I try to be good. I really try to be good. So,
right.
But when we get on Rumble, it's on. When we go full time, there's no censorship on there.
Well, all the shows will be on Rumble starting after tonight. We'll see how it goes.
That's so cool.
I don't know if the paranormal shows will do good on Rumble, but we're going to find out.
I think you guys will be great because
they might do better than you think.
On Rumble, everything is on Rumble.
You might.
Yeah, there's a bunch of paranormal shows out there
think.
on Rumble. So
yeah,
we'll just wait and see.
Yeah,
you have to get into the little. I'll figure. I don't know if you have to get into the little test thing where people will view them. And they can grade you.
Right. Yeah, I know. I had one video that got a whole bunch of likes.
Well,
2 years ago.
I didn't worry about grades in high school. I won't worry about the grades on Rumble.
No, I think that I mean, we're off to a good start with the viewership over there. People that are, and everybody that I pulled over there from Facebook, they're like, get off of Facebook, get on Rumble. They live on Rumble. A lot of them live on Rumble.
And Rumble is we can monetize Rumble a lot faster and easier than we can Facebook.
Yeah, it's monetized already, set up.
Yeah. Hey, April.
So
I think April wanted to get on there. I don't know if she'll have
I haven't seen Chris and April in a long time.
Well, April is working, so it's later.
Oh, she's
but
working.
You know what? We're going to have to do this again because we had such a good outpouring. I think that, maybe we should do this again next week with different people, of course, because we're running out of time.
I know. We got one more guest down there.
So, Barbara, can you plug your show so that we can get to Nick? I'm sorry.
Conservative View here on the Bill of Rights Network, and we are on Tuesday evenings at 8 Central Time, 9 Eastern Time. And my co-host is Kyle Katie Sims, and he's a big Texan from Texas, and he's fighting for our children over there.
And check me and Barbara out on
On
Born
Monday
TV
nights also.
after 9 on Monday nights at about 9:15 p.m.
Yep.
So,
So, well, thanks
okay,
for having me
Barbara,
on.
we want to thank you for popping in and everything, but we got
I'll
one
get
more
with you about
guest
Jim
before we
Carrey.
end the show. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah, we need to talk some more. So
yeah,
we don't talk enough.
right.
No, we don't.
But
It's like-
I'm always
like-
around.
Okay.
So
Hey,
Okay,
life is
I'll
getting
see
busy
you
a
in
little
about
bit,
an
but-
hour.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
okay.
Yeah, Barbara.
And now, last but definitely not least, our good friend Nick Millay.
And there's
Hey, guys.
Nick.
What's up, Nick?
How you guys doing?
Fine, how are
Doing
you?
great.
I'm doing great.
How's the family?
They're doing really well. We've been pretty quiet lately, but aside from that, everything's been going fine.
Have you seen Tom lately?
Yeah, I actually just saw him a few nights ago. We had a little St. Patrick's Day celebration with our friends, so he was fortunately he was available, so he was able to get out. In fact, the current picture I have on my Facebook was him taking that picture.
Is he doing okay from his fall?
Yeah, he's doing fine now. I gotta admit, when he told me about that, that gave us quite a scare. And
Yeah,
we were
it sounded bad.
yeah. Oh, we were so concerned about it that we almost thought at one point thinking because he only lives like 25 minutes away, that you know what, we better head over and see how he is. But after he gave us more of the details, it wasn't life threatening or anything like that. So we definitely breathed a sigh of relief.
Did he slip on the ice?
Yeah, he said he slipped on the ice. If I'm correct on that, see if he was in the chat right now, he'd be able to explain it better than I could. But
Well, he's
I
probably
know
working.
so I know he was I know he slipped on some ice, and that's when he hit his head, and he got a small concussion as a result. And of course, they were able to rush him to the hospital, but he didn't really spend that much time in the hospital because it wasn't a major injury. He was able to go home after a day or two.
Did it happen at work?
Yeah, it happened at work at the Walmart that he works at.
Oh, is that work?
Ooh.
Oh, I thought he was
Yeah.
on. I thought it was out in his parking lot.
Yeah.
No, this was in the parking lot at Walmart.
Oh,
Well, actually, it's good that it happened there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's crazy as it sounds. It's because obviously it didn't take long for anybody to notice that he had an accident. He actually somehow had the strength of trying to get to. I think he talked to his manager about it. I think to have someone call 911, and as a result, that's how he ended up his way on the hospital in the hospital.
Well, when you see him, tell him that we're asking about him.
Right.
Because
Definitely.
I love Tom. He's such a good man, and he gives until he can't give no more.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and we're already starting to plan out our road trips for 2023. Where we're going to be heading. We've already been discussing it. I know he's been he does want to get out more. It's just the only problem is it's with his work schedule that takes up a lot.
yeah,
of his
he's
time.
working two
Yeah.
jobs, right?
He is. He works at a school, and then he works, like I said, obviously at the Walmart. Now, he only really has limited time to really, go out to these trips. So we're trying to plan everything carefully so we can get out more often.
Yeah, maximize what time he does have, and so like I
Well-
said, he didn't work for quite a while. I know it's taken him a long time to catch up. So, but
Right.
just like I said, just let him know that we're thinking of him and that we miss him, and it is we're all busy, so we understand. So Nick, what do you want to talk to us about tonight?
Well, I could think of, I thought about two things in particular. One is, of course, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen my latest of what I've been doing with my show, Nick Files, lately. Because I know that's really been getting a lot more attention than I expected when I first started this show. The fact that I'm able to really cover as many locations as I can, especially with that amount of work putting into these presentations. I mean, I look back at it myself now, and it's phenomenal for how much information I'm really able to put into these places, and making sure that I'm telling the story right. It's essentially, it's like both a educational and kind of like me telling the story about these locations.
Mm-hmm. No, you've been doing a great job on it. I've got quite a few of your shows.
I'm not surprised. And what I think is even more amazing about it too is that, well, as I think a lot of people know, I mean, not only has it been broadcasting on Things Network, but it's attracted, several other networks that have been wanting to have my show on ever since. And now I'm on 8 different networks. There's still a few others that are interested, but unfortunately, of course, it's StreamYard. You can only stream to 8 destinations. So I'm hoping that maybe eventually in the future they'll expand that so I can be able to expand the show.
Well, you know what? You can always download it and send it to those other networks and they can play it.
Right.
So, and it's easy enough
Well,
to do. You don't
it's
have
not
to
a bad
always be
idea.
live.
The thing is, Nick, I don't know if you know this, but the thing that caught our eye right away with you is your enthusiasm. Everyone else sees it too. I don't even know if you even know it. But that's what got our attention when we first met you.
It was your
I said, this
love and
guy
passion.
loves this stuff. He's passionate about it.
That's right.
And that's and you can tell it's just natural.
That's why we wanted to meet you. I mean, yeah, we didn't meet you on that very first day. We saw you, and yeah, we met you before we left, but you made an impression of while we were.
That's what I said. I said we got to talk to these guys.
And yeah, we were late leaving.
Yeah, we were way late.
But
yeah, we got a kitty cat or 3 or 4.
So, but yeah, I mean, just your enthusiasm alone and your positivity, makes it so much fun just to be around you.
It's I don't know how I do it, but it's something that I always enjoy doing, and I'm glad that many others in the paranormal field always enjoy. That of the enthusiasm that I've created. I mean, and not just at these paracons and these events. I mean, you guys have seen I've made so many different messages for the entire paranormal community. We're growing. I've came across other investigators and people who have the interest in other countries. You would never think twice there would be people with that interest over there. So it definitely does. I guess what I'm saying is that we're no longer just pigeonholed to just certain areas. Like I've basically been able to help spread this influence throughout the entire planet.
Well, that's important though. I mean, you smile when you talk, which makes people want to listen. You smile in what you say, not that you're just smiling when you say it. There is something that comes out when you talk that makes you sound like you're smiling. So say I'm listening to you and I can't see you. Just say that. I can hear the smile in your voice. You have a twinkle in your eye that makes people want to be around you and hear what you have to say.
Right. I like Jeremy's comment. He said, "Don't make him laugh, though. He'll mute himself."
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that show. I did that once on Supernatural Talk because they were making all these funny jokes. It was just so damn funny that for like 5 minutes I had to mute myself because I couldn't stop laughing.
If you'd have been with us last night, we would have had to have muted because we were watching. What were we watching? What was that name of that show we were watching?
Impractical Jokers.
Impractical Jokers.
Oh,
we were laughing so hard, I almost peed my pants. And it was one. It was the new one last night where Kesha was on there, and they were doing a seance, and every time they did something, they had to shock Q, and it was like, oh my God! And you guys got to go see it.
He was the medium.
He was the medium.
He says he'll let us know whenever he gets something, and they got this board, and when they push it, they shock his like right arm or left arm. He's like, ugh. They go, oh, he got something. He's like, oh.
And he's carrying a bowl of water, and it just goes everywhere. People are thinking that this is a real seance.
Yeah.
and it was just, oh my God. I
Then
mean,
they-
it
then
was
they-
perfect.
Then they got the microphones in their ears and that, and they whisper down to Keisha, okay, now we're gonna do the sacrificial glass of wine. And Q hears and he's like, oh no, because he's trying to port and
This I gotta see.
everywhere.
But yeah, if you guys, okay, just be aware that they can be offensive, but it was funny as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Watch
Oh, it was
because
hilarious.
here we are, we're paranormal people,
Right.
So
Right.
and they talk about conjuring Kesha and all that on there, but it was just so funny that I couldn't stop laughing. And I mean, our stomachs were hurting from laughing. And I mean, I mean, we only watch this show when we're in hotels, okay?
Right.
We don't ever watch it at home.
Have you done the investigations overseas?
Surprisingly, I have not, but I've been wanting to for the last few years.
Okay.
I don't want to say too much publicly, but I will say this, though, is that I have, throughout the last year or so, I've been getting requests from different parts, again, from overseas, like parts of the UK, Ireland wanting me to come out. I've had, see what else. I think it was either France or Germany that also invited me. And also, not just for an investigation, but there's someone else who's also been requesting to have paracons occur. I mean, to have paracons happen is I was also invited in the Philippines. There's really he's an investigator. He's also become a really good friend of mine, and he actually asked me just a couple months ago, in fact, saying, you guys ever plan on doing paracons like in the Philippines? And I said, well, we haven't really set up anything like that. Eventually, we would like to really start spreading overseas to other countries that have had those kind of events. So we are trying to work on something.
Right.
Yeah.
And for everybody to know, Nick is the one that got me onto the Things Network.
Yep.
And everything. We talked about it and everything. He got a hold of Jeremy and talked to him. And next thing you know, we were live on Things Network with the Paranormal Nation Radio.
And that was right when we were starting up the network.
Yeah, it was right as you started up the Things Network.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember Nick sent me a message going, hey, do you want to be part of this? And I was like, I can't right now. I have, my show had a home.
Yeah.
And me, I'm loyal. I'm loyal to a fault. I'm staying where I am until I have a reason to go somewhere else.
Well, that's why we're waiting for an opening on Monday night, because Denise does her show on this.
Yeah, that was the other thing too, is because we already had that same time slot already filled by somebody
else. But if
else.
that ever opens up, put Denise's name in that bucket for that time zone.
But at this point, the show that you have at that time is a really good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. And he and I were friends, and we're not now, but you know what? I still wish him good luck.
Indeed.
Because me, I don't like the drama. I don't like all the crap.
I don't either.
And I have no desire to be, just because a friendship ends doesn't mean it has to end badly and stay that way.
Right.
It is what it is, and I have nothing negative to say about that kind of stuff. Now, if you're already a negative person, that's a different problem.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we got about a minute left. So, Nick, tell everybody where they can find you at.
Okay, so you can find me, of course, obviously on Facebook. Of course, I'm more heavily involved now with like all these different networks, which fortunately I have them named out quickly. So you can find me on Things Network, Pack Channel, Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment, Skeleton Key Network, BB3 TV, Paraunity Network, RU Media Network, and jeez, I already forgot what the last one was, but I got the majority of them.
You know what? Wow. You need to write them down, put them on a Post-it by your camera so that you can see it.
Well, I have it on the show poster. I just couldn't remember. I just don't have that with me right now.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Cue
on.
card.
And anytime you want to come on, let us know, and we'll drag you in. And we may have to kick you off kicking and screaming, but we'll still drag you in. So
Right.
just reach out and let us know so that I know who to put on the calendar for that day. And if you guys have any ideas of things that you want to see us do or you want to be part of, reach out. Let us know. Carl and I both check the messenger.
Yeah, we might do this more often.
And I think another open mic night is in our future. April and Crystal, you please feel free to partake. I would love to talk to you.
Thanks, Jeremy.
And join me every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central when I'm not in a hotel anyway, for the Paranormal Pride. And next week, my guest is PRI. They're going to be coming on. It's going to be Angel K, Lisa from here in Olathe. I don't remember her last name. And
Olathe Lisa.
Scott.
Bart coming on?
Scott from
Illinois.
Illinois is going to be on.
nice
And so it's going to be great.
Or Illinois.
Illinois.
I gotta say that since I got someone from Illinois.
Ron, if you watch Supernatural Talk, the Thursday night show, Eileen, because she lives down in Mississippi, she does that all the freaking time.
I do it on purpose. I grew up in St. Louis, so that's
right.
I know how it's pronounced,
okay.
But
I do
everybody,
it like that on purpose.
go ahead, Denise.
So just join us next Monday night at 7 p.m. Central for Paranormal Pride, and join us here on Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. Central for whatever it is we've got going on with Not So Normal, because we are not so normal.
That's right. Check out the Bill of Rights Network on Facebook, Things Network on Facebook, and the Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment page on Facebook, and Japan Paranormal. So we want to thank everybody in the chat room and thank all our guests that showed up for the first open mic show here on Paranormal Nation Radio. So again, thank you, and we will see you next week. Everybody have a good time.
Good night, everyone.
Later.